Hey everybody, it's Michael at 4G Woodcrafts. Today I'm going to be tramming my router on my BobsCNC Evolution 4. The chassis for it, the Z chassis is still loose. I have not tightened up the bearings yet. We're going to go over that and then how to measure the angle of it and get it squared up. One thing I'm going to be using today is a digital angle gauge. I'll post a link in the description of which one I bought. I ordered off of Amazon. Comes in really handy though, and it helps tremendously with this. You can use a square if you want, but you'll get a lot more accurate if you get a digital one. Alright, so first thing we want to do is we want to tighten up these top ones to the rods. So right now you can see it's moving, it's a little loose, so you want to adjust the eccentric adjustment spacers. I'm going to move it 4 marks first, see how that does. What you want to do is you want to make sure it's not moving anymore. When you move it up and down, the bearing should rotate, and you want to reach in here and see if you can rotate the bearings without it moving. Make sure the bearings are tight, just like we did on the other axis. Alright, so the top is tight, and next we need to tighten the bottom. And then we'll adjust it as we go to get everything. So I'm using a 13 millimeter socket with an extension to reach the eccentric ones. So the bottom ones I'm doing at 3 because it seems like it tightened up. Just the feel of it, it seems like it tightened up quicker than the upper ones did. So those are on 3. So it's solid on there. So the way this works is you turn it on and you set it on the spoil board. Once you have it on the spoil board, you hit 0. You'll see the lines for a second, and then it's at, alright, so it's at 0, and then there's 2 ways you can do it. I have a bit in here. It's a white side bit, so it's a fairly good straight bit. It's a 22 degree V-bit. But if you put this on there, looks like I'm at 90.6. Or you can test it here, which is 90.7, which are pretty close. And there's an arrow that tells you which way you're leaning, right? And so the arrow is pointing this way. So what that means is it's the bottom needs to go that way. Alright, so to do this, as I was saying, you zero the gauge to the spoil board, and then you can put it on a bit here. I just adjusted it a little bit. If you can see, it's right at 90 degrees. It's going to vary on either side a little bit because the bit is not perfect, but you're looking at 90.2, and this is 90 degrees. So zero it to here and then put it on a bit. I did notice the bit is a little bit different than this. This is 90.3 and the bit is 90 on the dot. So there's a 0.3 degree difference between the bit and the actual router itself, which is fine. It's not a huge difference, but you want it to the bit is what you want to actually compare it to. All right. So that part is good. So now we need to do the tilt forward or back. So you're going to turn this gauge and re-zero it for where you are. All right. So we'll do the forward to back tilt. And so you zero this again with the spoil board. There we go. And you put it this way on the bit. So it's 91 degrees. So the bottom needs to come out. So you can put the washers in there, the shim washers. Alright, so looking at it, with it being 1 degree off, I did notice that the bottom, the washers are sunk, the eccentric washer is into the wood a little bit more than the top. So I'm just going to go ahead and tighten everything down with where it is, because I know the left to right is good. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten down all of the bearings and see if that fixes the problem. So for the bottom, or for the bottom bearings, if you need to adjust them, just line it up with this hole and lower it a little bit to where you can get the screwdriver on the bearing bolt. Alright, so I just tightened up the upper ones, the upper bearings a little bit more, and it looks like I got fairly close. 90.2, that's good enough for me. Let's see, get 90, almost 90 on the dot out here. And then double check this one. It's 90.1. So I'm good with that. You might have a little bit less feasibility with that, depending on what you carve. I don't do a whole lot of flat areas, so 0.2 or 3 degree offset on the tramming is not going to affect the work I do. So that's how you do it. If you do need to adjust it more, all you do is put, you got to take the bearings off and put washers between the bearing and the washer that's against the wood on the back side. And what that does, it'll push this out. So if that's what you need to do, it might take a little bit of work to get everything apart, to get that part apart. But this is within the tolerance that I'm happy with. So, all right, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.